Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Location of fire exits, out that door and that door. Roll call.
Commissioner Kissel? Commissioner Billiam? Commissioner Jarvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Mike Tatro?
Yes.
Commissioner Dale Tatro?
Motion needed to open the public meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Means carried. Mike?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Tatro, one of the commissioners. I'm one of the committee of three. Myself, Ryan, and Todd are responsible for the project. Our consulting architect, Dave Whitford from AES. Dave was responsible with guiding us through this process, coming up with a plan, design, cost estimates, and how this is going to work. Purpose of the meeting tonight, it's one of two public hearings that we're required to have because we are spending public money. So Dave is going to do a little presentation of what we've come up with. If you have questions, we'll entertain any questions, try and answer them as best we can. And we hope everyone is happy and satisfied when we leave. Dave?
All right, thanks, Mike. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming. Like Mike said, and my name is Dave Whitford. I'm the principal architect at AES Northeast down in 51st. And also from my office is Aaron Allison, our fire station designer, is with us tonight. We've been working with your committee for the past probably 8 months on putting this project together for them. So we have a short presentation for you tonight about it. Before we talk about the project, we want to give you a little background about your fire district. These are your commissioners that you just heard the introductions for, and some of the officers, and then the project committee, Mike, Todd, and Ryan, were the three primary guys that put this project together for the past 8 months. So this is a map of your fire district in the green on the right-hand side, bounded by Lake Champlain on the east side, and by Shazy on the south, and on St. John's Road on the west, and Canada on the north. With the exception of the village of Rouse's Point, which is that little white area in the upper right corner of the map. So that's not part of the fire district, but all the green is part of the fire district. So that services 2,300 parcels and about 1,600 structures in that fire district. That's about 59 square miles, and they take about 225 calls a year, and they serve a population of about 1,500 people. So that's the basics of your fire district. This is the basic information about your current fire station, where we are right now. You can see a basic floor plan on the right. It's a 4.5 bay fire station with a multi-purpose room in the back, which is this room we're in right now. It's a one-story steel building built in 1986, so it's 33 years old already. It's about 4,600 square feet, and has the 4.5 bays I mentioned, multi-purpose room. This room here, which is used for all kinds of things. Kitchen and office and a couple other spaces, and sits on a property of about 3.1 acres here behind us and to my right. So this is a basic list of all the vehicles and equipment and services provided by your fire district. They have about 7 pieces of trucks and equipment, 3 pumpers, a tanker, a heavy rescue truck, brush truck, and a staff pickup. Plus they have a water rescue boat with a trailer, UTV with a trailer, and also a portable generator. So that's the bulk of the large equipment that your fire district has. This is the home for Niagara Hose Company and the fire department, which is composed of about 46 volunteers, which fluctuates a little, I think, from year to year, right? The services that your fire district provides, they don't just put out fires, they provide mutual aid to Vermont and Canada. I think you had a call 2 weeks ago to Canada, right? Rescue on Lake Champlain, cover 3 border crossings. Your fire department responds to hazardous material spills on the railroad and on Interstate 87. Your fire district also provides assisted animal rescues, cleanup of the village and the town, search and rescue operations, and also provides assistance to the New York DEC when requested. Typical training for a member is about 140 hours initially, and about 40 hours every year to be a firefighter. So these are the 3 buildings leased or owned by your fire district. On the left is a cold storage building, which is behind us up the hill. In the middle is a fire station where we are tonight. And then the brown building on the right is a rented building over on Oak Street where your fire department has additional equipment. That costs the fire district about $12,000 a year in rent and utilities to rent that building and pay for the utilities to keep equipment over there. So 3 primary buildings. Some information about the existing fire station condition. On the left, you can see a steel column that's rusting, the concrete's cracking. The picture in the middle, you see some damaged ceiling tile, and the picture on the right, you can see the rotted siding. That's the outside siding on the building. So, 33 years old, definitely showing signs of its age. Some more pictures about the congestion here at the fire station.
Certainly.
And this is kind of the primary driving force behind this project is the lack of space for vehicles and equipment. On the left, you can see a picture of one of the trucks, and then the very, very narrow space that gives access to the truck in that first bay out front. And in the middle picture, you can see the bumpers of the fire trucks are practically touching the overhead doors. And just for general information purposes, the New York State Building Code requires a 36-inch clear aisle around all vehicles at all times for safe access and egress to and from the building and vehicles. You obviously don't have that. Your fire station is not big enough for the vehicles that you have in it. On the right is a picture of a typical gear rack where the guys keep their gear. Each rack is intended for 1 set of gear, but due to congestion, they have to keep 2 sets of gear in each locker area or gear rack. And the basic purpose that I'm aware of to keep 1 set is so that there's proper ventilation and all the equipment and gear dries out each time it's used. Some more pictures about the congested conditions, and the picture on the left is the storage building behind us up on the hill. All types of equipment and so forth kept by the fire department hose company for various functions. In the middle, you can see a picture of the attic right above us. Had to resort to putting extra gear sets and various equipment and gear upstairs just due to the lack of space. Not really a safe condition right here next to the furnace, but they do the best they can. On the right-hand side, you can see an interior photograph of the rented building on Oak Street with the UTV on the trailer and the boat and another fire truck and the brush, I think it's the brush truck, right, Ryan? It's the brush truck over there.
Yeah, brush truck, and then we have a spare brush engine.
So I think you can see
Third run
from
engine.
the photo, it's kind of tight quarters over there as well. Not ideal conditions. So this process that Mike talked about has actually started a long time ago, way back in 2012. And I'm not going to read these line by line to you, but I will kind of highlight in the middle, spring, summer of 2015, the board was looking at a larger addition at the time and cut it back. So it's kind of been working on Plan A, B, and C over the past few years, and I don't know, I think we're up to Plan E, maybe, that we developed in the last half of last year. And I think everyone knows that the fire district put forth a project a couple years ago, 3 years ago now, which was unfortunately rejected. But at the beginning of last year, the Board of Commissioners said, you know, our problems haven't gone away. We still have a lack of space. We still have vehicles stored remotely, and it's not an efficient operation and not safe sometimes, and certainly increases response time. So the board said we got to do something, and decided to, you know, re-energize the project and restart it and put something together for you tonight. So started 7 years ago. So this is the heart of the project. In the upper right corner, you can see a 3D drawing of the proposed project. On the left-hand side is the existing fire station. On the right-hand side of that 3D is the proposed addition. The addition would have 3 new large truck bays, an emergency personnel and conference room, a large multi-purpose room for about 120, which would also serve as an emergency shelter. The board has made a commitment that the fire station will always be able to be used as an emergency shelter. Obviously, you need a kitchen to go with that, offices for the fire department and hose company, public bathrooms, and so on and so forth, other auxiliary spaces. So the floor plan is down in the lower right-hand corner. You can see that, and the blue area is the existing fire station, and the pink area is the proposed addition. See if I can zoom in on that for you. We'll walk through this a little bit. We'll start with the addition in the pink area. You've got emergency personnel conference room here in the back. You've got dedicated bathrooms for your fire department here, with showers, offices for your hose company and fire department. And then you can see the 3 large truck bays here, which they really don't have at this time for the largest vehicles. So 3 new large truck bays. And then on the far right is that multi-purpose room I was talking to you about for a capacity of over 100, maybe 120 people, with a nice commercial kitchen here in the back with a pantry and so forth. So that is the main spaces of the addition, and the main entrance to the multi-purpose room would be down here, and we'll see that a little better on the site plan in a couple of minutes. So that would be the public entrance right there to the multi-purpose room, and then the fire department would have their own entrances to the rest of the station. And there is a national trend, I guess you would say, or preference to segregate public from the fire station for a lot of safety reasons and contamination issues. So there's a very important to segregate the two. So back in the blue area where we are now, there's some renovations that are proposed. It would keep the 3 bays out of the 4 on the front of the station facing Elm Street. So keep those 3. But in the corner bay would be converted to a standby room and a radio room. So the radio room would be relocated from its current location, and a new standby room would be created. This is where your firefighters would come in and get their assignments and so forth. This bay here would be kept as is, although it would be expanded deeper so you could put in larger vehicles. And then another new vehicle bay would be built right where we are right now, where this multi-purpose room is, in this slot right here. Another little tiny room, but a very, very important feature in fire stations that would be added is called a decon room, or a decontamination room. So this is a little room where the firefighters come in after a fire and they hose down their gear and so forth. They try and get the bulk of the materials off from them before they enter the station. There are a lot of studies that have been published in the past several years that show that your firefighters are getting cancer at a much higher rate than the average citizen because of the exposure to fires and all the rotten materials that you're exposed to in a fire. So this little tiny decon room has become very, very important. Otherwise, if you just walk into the station, as unfortunately they probably currently do now, you're bringing those carcinogens everywhere in the station. That's not a good situation for anyone. And then that gets carried home and so on and so forth. So a little tiny room, but a very, very important one. So that would be right here in the middle. and then there's some laundry facilities and things like that. 40 gear racks would be installed here across the back of the truck bays. Again, enough gear racks so that you know one set of gear per gear rack. So I think we covered everything, the decon room, gear storage. There's a gear storage room proposed that's, for the gear that's up in the attic, will be brought down to this level where it should be. We talked about the radio room, the standby room. So that's the heart of the project, and I guess we'll wait till the end of questions.
Unless they have some time.
So this is the proposed site plan. Drawing on the right here, again in the blue, is the footprint of the existing fire station, and in the pink is the footprint of the proposed addition. All the gray area would be paved, and then the blocks you see in yellow would be parking. So one of the main parts of the project is to improve and expand the parking tier to about 75 spaces. And another important feature of the site is to create another separate entrance for the public right here where my red dot is. That would be the public entrance to this parking lot. And then the current entrance to the property would be widened for the fire trucks and dedicated to firefighters who are coming to the fire station with a block of dedicated parking right here, about 15 spaces right here, close to the station. So those are the main features of the site work. The property would be regraded and the storm drainage would be added, obviously paving and so forth. So that's a bird's eye view of the site.
That little gray area between the entrances, there's no chance of making more parking there, or not necessary, or what? Between the two entrances is a light gray area where the flagpole is going to be there, yeah.
Flagpoles,
Yeah.
LED informational sign possibly.
Signage, directional signage, flagpoles would be in that location. I think the committee feels very comfortable. 75 spaces is going to be very, very adequate for the largest function that you may have here. You know, it's way more parking than you have. I know people park all over the place when you have a major event, right?
Yeah.
On the lawn and then on the street and wherever they can. So I think the committee's pretty comfortable. 75 is going to take care of them in most situations. There'll be handicap parking as well. There'll be some handicap parking right here in front of the addition. That's required by all the different standards and codes anyway. So, this is an outline of the project cost. The total project cost is $4,515,337. That includes all the construction contractors, all the professional services, the lawyers, the fiscal advisors, all the costs that you normally might incur in a public works construction project like this. Now, your board has been saving money over the past several years, and they have a reserve of $650,000 that they want to put toward the project to help reduce the cost, and that would reduce it down to $3 million. They would use $650,000 to reduce it down to $3,865,000. The board has also applied for a USDA RD grant. That's the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development Office. And their offices all over New York and all over the country, actually. And they have a program called Community Facilities Grant Program. And that is open to fire districts, public fire districts. I think fire district over in Colton got one last year, around $100,000. And that could be used to purchase equipment for the building. Now, I'm not talking about firefighting equipment, I'm talking about building equipment. So that could help pay for gear racks, kitchen equipment, and other things that are built into the building that are considered equipment. So they put the application in, and a preliminary discussion with the RD office, I think they're down in Waterville. A lady named Renee said there would be a high probability that this fire district could probably get $100,000. You'll certainly get something, but we guesstimated 100,000, but of course you gotta go through the whole process with them to get the grant award. So that would bring the anticipated net project cost down to $3,765,000. So the tax impact from that would be about 45 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. The average assessed value of a home in the fire district is approximately $111,000. So the annual increase for that home would be about $49.95 a year, or a little over $4 a month for the average homeowner, or about the cost of a gallon there. The project schedule: if the voters approve the project in April, the next phase would be to start the full design of the addition and renovation, prepare the construction drawings, specification, bidding documents, and so forth. That would occur from May to November of this year. And then the commissioners would like to get the project out to bid and advertise next December, and then get the project awarded in the winter of 2020 and hit the ground running in the spring of 2020. And construction would occur from basically April 2020 to December of 2020, about 8 months, 9 months. So that's the proposed schedule if all goes forward. Some final thoughts from the commissioners and the committee. The fire district applied for a low-interest loan and grant. I didn't mention the loan before. That's part of that grant application with the USDA-RD. Their loan terms are typically longer than fire districts can bond for or get a commercial loan for. So that helps keep the cost down, the annual cost. You can stretch it out. And they usually try to give very favorable interest rates. Better, in theory, they try to beat your local banks and give you a better rate. The fire station has been the home base during national disasters and ice storms, and will continue to be an emergency shelter. The commissioners believe this is a sensible addition and alterations project that is more economical, less expensive than a new fire station. New fire station, probably $6 to $7 million for this size fire station. So a lot more economical to renovate than that. This station's 33 years old. It's and deteriorating, needs to be updated. And the main thrust driving this project is a lack of space for apparatus and equipment. And new requirements for fire departments is not safe, not efficient, and increases response time. When the project is done, it should easily last the fire district 30 years plus. So the vote required by the fire district to the voters is Tuesday, April 9th, right here at the fire station from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I know they would appreciate your support. That's the presentation that we put together for you. Glad to entertain questions.
Any questions?
The new addition, what materials it's gonna be?
What materials? It's steel frame
All concrete,
construction.
steel?
Pardon me?
Number one, it'll be a non-combustible building. Steel construction, steel stud construction, exterior walls, interior walls. Yeah, all steel and concrete floors, obviously. When you design a building that's non-combustible, under the state finance laws, you're allowed to finance that for up to 30 years. So that's another advantage to building it out of non-combustible construction. If it was a wood building, you'd only be able to finance it for 15 years.
So it's basically the same design as this building.
Well, the outside is gonna be a split face block or stone veneer, not gonna be metal like this.
But the construction is the same.
Yeah,
Steel
yeah,
building.
it's a steel frame construction, right, yeah.
Better. Steel building, concrete floors, flat roof. Very well insulated. New York State Energy Code has been upgraded a lot over the years. It requires a lot of insulation on the roof and walls and the doors and windows. very energy efficient addition. Steel siding on a lot of the rest of the building, a little bit of stonework like Mike said, out here in the corner, some stonework here, but otherwise metal siding. Metal siding's pretty rugged, and economical to build with. I guess I didn't mention this before, and you may have noticed it in the 3D, but the multi-purpose room will be 6 feet higher than the fire station. You'll see like a retaining wall right here. And that's because the property contours continuously goes up as you go toward the back of the property. So rather than build a multi-purpose room down in the ground, we raised it up like a terrace, so it'll be at ground level at the back of the kitchen. And then inside there's little stairways and stuff so that the fire department can still access that area.
Solves drainage issues, plus it also allows people to look down into the apparatus bay, which is kind of, kids like to see that when they're there.
So that multi-purpose room will be 6 feet higher than where we are standing right now. The kitchen, and the multi-purpose room, and the public bathrooms, and that entrance.
That means we won't have to pump the kitchen out, like here.
That's gonna be totally segregated from the rest of the station. So you have the fire side on one side and then the public side on the other side. Safety reasons, liability.
So right here is that dividing wall that Mike was talking about. It completely separates the public area from the fire station.
Now, this construction will be disruptive as far as storing your equipment and so on. Have you got that all planned out, how you're gonna respond to fires while the construction's going on?
Yes, I spoke to Carl Smith. Possibly, good chances are we'll be able to put the trucks on the Ridge Road, seeing he's, don't have his fuel trucks in there anymore. So we would just move our trucks right there and move out of this building completely. Cause it'll make the construction go faster if we're not in here,
Well, yeah,
Cheaper.
so, and cheaper.
This construction will be no more disruptive than, within probably a month from now, Elm Street Bridge will be closed, and, the chief and his guys and the commissioners have already put a plan in action to have trucks on the other side of the road and trucks on here to take care of the whole situation. So you can prepare for Elm Street Bridge by Saline Pockets to be bridge for, closed for about a month or two is what we've been notified.
so where are you gonna store them?
Same.
At Carl Smith's?
Same place, yeah.
We renovated an add-on to Keysville Fire Station a couple years ago, and they could not move out. They couldn't find a place to go to. And that took over a year to renovate and add on because they had to constantly move trucks in and out and move the trucks over to the new space while they renovated the old space. And it was a headache for everybody, and it slowed the contractor down, and it was certainly disruptive to firefighting operations. So we've had a lot of discussions about that, and I said, if you guys can move out, the construction will go faster and your bids will come in lower. The contractor's not working around waiting for you to move your truck, and not waiting for you to move out of the multi-purpose room or whatever. The other issue is like the electrical service is gonna be relocated, so we gotta shut down power, move that. You can't operate with no power and things like that, so.
Have to rewire this building, the wiring in here is about shot, so. And you're dealing with 4 contractors, so it's in our best interest to move completely out, turn it over to them for the 6 or 8 months that it's gonna take. I think we'll get a better job, better product, and everybody will be a whole lot happier.
When you say 4 contractors, will there be one main contractor who'll subcontract, or how's that?
The New York state laws obligate the fire district to hire 4 contractors, a general contractor, a plumber, electrician, and a heating contractor. That's a state law, and so there'll be 4 contractors to coordinate. And the drawings are set up that way as well,
Biddings like
P
that.
drawings for the plumber, the E drawings for the electrician, and so forth. Obviously, they still gotta coordinate with each
Yeah.
other. You gotta put the wires in the wall before you put the sheet rock up. So there's a lot of coordination involved. But that's a New York State law that the fire district has to follow for contractors. And they'll have subcontractors, obviously, but they would be responsible for coordinating any of their own subcontractors.
Well, it's possible that some of these contractors could bid on both, right? They might be multiple purpose contractors that could, or that not,
Yeah, before a separate one.
Yeah, it's more separate, and I've never seen anybody, I've seen the plumbers and the heating guys bid on both contracts, but still gotta be two contracts.
right, that can be the same entity,
It happens
if they're the
sometimes.
best bid.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. It's generally rare, but it still has to be set up as two separate prime contracts.
Right.
It's called the Wicks Law. Been around a long, long time, and I won't get too political, but a lot of people don't like it.
Well, it brings the cost up by at least 30%.
It does increase costs.
That's the big thing.
Well, that's why it's,
30 to 40%.
that's why they passed the law.
If the project is successful, we have a local person that would be the clerk of the works that would represent us on behalf of the fire district to make sure things go as planned. Engineers and architects are very good, but everybody needs to be watched.
I agree.
So we would go with a local code enforcement officer.
Oh, he'll have his hand in there. Any other questions? I did print out something when I sat down with the assessor going over all the numbers for this. And this is the tax impact information that's available. It's on the county's website. And I just wanted to compare the different fire tax rates from different communities in Clinton County. Beekman Town, they're probably the cheapest at around 55 cents per thousand. The most expensive one I could find is Lime Mountain at $3.63. The average are around 2 or a little above. So with this project, ours would still be under $2. So, you know, I'm quite confident this is a doable project. It's well within the. Nobody likes to see their taxes go up, especially me. I'd be the first to admit it. But I believe the district needs this. It's needed it for quite a while. This is our second go-around. It's our third go-around. Yeah, I wasn't here for the first one.
And that one was only 2-point-something million, and we couldn't get that through us.
So hopefully this time, I mean, we spent a lot of time with this. Like Dave said, this is plan A, B, C, D, and E. We went around and around, you know, from a teepee to what we have, so. I mean, it's expensive, everything's expensive. But
It's not gonna get any cheaper, that's the big point. We didn't, 3 years ago when we had this shot down by the public voters, it was about $300,000 to $400,000 less. We're basically the same footprint, just the inside, the puzzle pieces were put in a different order. The reason you're seeing that is the cost of inflation. I mean, the materials are getting higher, the labor's getting higher, nothing's going down. The longer we wait on this to try to get this done, the more expensive it's ultimately gonna be.
steel tariffs aren't doing us any favor. We didn't have that last time, now we do, so, you know, you never know what's coming down the pike, so. Any more questions, comments? Like it, don't like it?
What about the customs and immigration facilities? We're getting nothing from them, for this, correct?
No.
They're federal government.
They,
We protect them but get nothing in return.
Never
Yeah.
has.
well, we do it directly through state aid or whatever we get, is what I've been told. You know, I'm a little skeptical there, but.
What's the interest on this loan? You're saying 30 years?
30 years.
$4.5 million?
Around
It'll be 25 to 30 years, depending on which way the commissioners go, you know, RD versus the typical bond, but I think bond rates are what, 3.5 right now? 3.5, 3.6.
should be less than 4.
RD will look at those as well and try to beat that, you know, and it'll be a federal loan. I'm pretty certain you're gonna be under 4%.
4% on 4.5 million for 30 years.
4% on 3.8 million.
Have you done the math? Do we have the math?
The payment, the annual payment.
I don't have that here with me.
I believe it'll be an annual payment, not a monthly payment like your home mortgage, it'll be an annual.
The bond guy gave me.
So the first year's total principal and interest would be $209,832. It seems to average, and I never understood this, why it fluctuates a little tiny bit every year. So about 209, 210. And they figured it on a 20-year term. So there's another one. Yeah, they gave the commissioners different scenarios. Here's one for 25 years, $178,000 annual payment, or annual, whatever you want to call it. That one's based on 25 years, and they didn't go any farther past that. So you're in that 180 to 210 range.
If we were able to get a 30-year deal through our USDA, you know, 25 years, 3.4%.
Oh, is that what they use?
Yeah. 3.4.
3.4.
Yeah. But if we can get a 30-year loan through the USDA, it's less of a payment, stretches it out farther, you may pay more, a little bit more in interest, but it'll be less of a tax impact. The way I'm looking at it anyway.
You know, I think the Board of Commissioners will talk to their bond council, the USDA. I'm sure they're gonna try and get the best rate they can and lowest, annual payment.
Well, Albert got it, he took the check.
How long ago?
Commercial loan, or I should say USDA and bond rates have been staying around 3.25 to 3.5 for quite a few years now. So that'll be another option for commissioners, they can bond it. Go to the bond council and they sell a bond as a municipal bond. That'll be another option that commissioners have.
Any more questions, comments, concerns? Quiet, Calvin.
It's my second time here.
I would like to make a comment to everyone here is that this is my 6th year, going on my 7th year as being a commissioner for the town fire district Champlain. And the guys that were here and the guys before us have done a hell of a job, because all the equipment that you see that was out front is bought and paid for. There's no loans, no bonds for it. So everything here belongs to the Champlain Fire District. So as of right now, we're virtually debt-free. So the only debt we would acquire is the building that we're building, and it'd be a great investment to add everything that we've got already.
Motion to close the public hearing? So move. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all for coming, sorry I was late.
You got me in the chair, I got home and I'm really comfortable today.
Heated?
No, rocking recliner. I just did, your phone went off.